guys, my name is Megan and today I've got some Halloween reading recommendations for you. Alright, so today's recommendation leave you a little bit chilled to the bone, I guess, which is a good thing, I guess, for Halloween. So let's dive in. So the first book that I'm going to talk about is going to be Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I don't know why I was so late to the train on this one, but this book was fantastic. Victor and Eli start out as college roommates and they're both brilliant and arrogant and both very lonely, and in their senior year they share a kind of research thesis, which is kind of how people can get these superpowers if they almost die and come back, or have very near death experiences. They kind of mess around with that and they kind of turn into like super villains. I love this. Victor is one of my favorite characters of all time. Like morally gray, kind of villainous characters. He's very like quiet and intense, but I also really love him to pieces. This is probably one of my favorite kind of spooky books out there. So next on this list is going to be Dread Nation by Justina Ireland. This is a alternative history kind of book. So it takes the events of the Civil War and kind of turns them on their heads. This follows Jane McCain, who was born the day that the dead started rising, and basically that kind of changed the landscape of American history. So we follow Jane as she is sent to a school for people of color, basically to learn how to become zombie hunters and, you know, learn how to defend people from these walkers and zombies. And Jane is fantastic as a character. I love this book to pieces. I just really like how this book was written. It's very action-packed. It's very focused on zombie hunting, and honestly the zombie book that I never knew that I needed in my life, and you should definitely check it out. There's also a sequel out now to this that I still need to get my hands on, so please read this. So next up is going to be The Bone Houses. I really liked this book. So this follows Ren, who is a gravedigger, and her whole family basically are gravediggers. And since both of their parents have passed away, Ren is kind of like the breadwinner for their family, and they live in this very tiny town on the edge of this old fey forest. And when somebody dies, they don't necessarily stay dead because there's leftover power within the woods, and it just keeps seeping out into the corpses of, you know, the dead, and they rise from their sleeping places, and it's kind of Ren's job to take care of that a little bit. And then, you know, things are starting to get bad. They're going to lose their house, and then all of a sudden all of these bone houses, as they're called, start coming into the town and just like destroying things, and all sorts of madness happens. And then Ellis, who is a map maker, kind of stumbles upon this tiny town, and he gets attacked by a bone house, and Ren saves him, and he kind of hires Ren as a guide to help him get through the forest, and they have some very interesting adventures being followed by a bone goat. If that doesn't make you want to read this book, I don't know what will, because this was fantastic. And then the last book on this list is probably one of the creepier books that I've read, especially for it being a YA book, and that is House of Salt and Sorrow. This book is fantastically creepy, and I mean, you will probably not want to read this one at night. Kind of creepy. This is a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling, but it's not quite what you would expect. This one follows Annalie, and she and her sisters and their father and stepmother live in a grand mansion at the cliffs of the sea. And we open this book with a funeral of one of Annalie's sisters, and slowly Annalie's sisters have been dying, and one after another, and it's very tragic, and they get more tragic as they pass away. And Annalie is very much disturbed by these ghostly visions of her sisters that she sees. She becomes increasingly suspicious that her sisters' deaths weren't natural and they weren't accidents. The remaining girls start sneaking out every night to go to attend these balls, and it kind of turns into like a psychological thriller mixed in a fantasy setting, and it's just fantastic. And there may or may not be gods and eldritch horror creatures like lurking around, and it's fantastic, but also super creepy. And no joke, this one will haunt your dreams. Alright, so that is it for this video. What are some of your guys' favorite creepy reads? Let me know down below. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. If you haven't already and would like to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. You can also hit the notification button. And if you'd like to follow me on social media for more bookish stuff, check out the links down below. Alrighty, bye guys!